After season away, I am back on the RTA grid. As always, a new car this season is the Dallara IL-15, also known as the Indy NXT car. A lot of new tracks on the calendar too, starting off here for round 1 at the St. Petersburg Street track. So learning a new car and a new track, which is a very difficult one as well, but it is the traditional opening of the IndyCar and Indy next season, so makes sense why we're starting the season off here in RTA in the same way. These cars, a lot of fun to drive, a lot of power, good bit of downforce, push to pass to play with as well, so it's definitely going to be an interesting season. No standings to look at heading into the first round, so with that let's head straight in to qualifying. So as we head down the runway, which is also the pit straight here in St. Pete, to start my fastest lap in qualifying. Into turn 1, keeping it nice and tight to the right hand side to open up turn 2 so we can get onto power nice and early to get through turn 3. Heavy braking zone then into turn 4 as we start the very technical section of this track. Flicking it back to the left then through turn 5. Keeping it to the left hand side through turn 6 to open up the double right handers of turn 7 and turn 8. Keeping it nice and tight and trying to get on the power nice and early on this little back straight. Through the kink then of, well, it doesn't have a turn number before we get on the anchors into turn 10. Don't want to hit that curb because it will bounce you into the wall on the outside. Through the chicane then of 11 and 12, not quite flat out because I want to keep it to the left hand side for the final hairpin of 13 and 14. Have to get on the power then, have a bit of a slide as we get back onto the pit straight, coming up across the line to set a 1 minute 4.2, which in the end sees me in P12 in the first qualifying session of the season, and that's where we'll start race 1 from. Ronan Doherty back on the grid for this season as well, going where he usually is, up at the front on pole position, just ahead of Campto Chukwa and Dylan McClements, who are always up near the top as well. But qualifying is one thing around here, trying to race is going to be another, so let's see how it goes in the first race of the season. So as we get ready to go for the first time, for whatever reason we're doing standing starts in the Indy NXT cars when in real life they do rolling starts just like the full Indy cars do. But as the lights go green, you can see don't get the greatest start, getting jumped by Sean McGoldrick heading into turn 1. Into turn 1 there's a big crash, and to be honest I do a terrible job of trying to avoid that. I saw a crash happening a bit further to the left on the outside, and I was going to try and go to the inside line to avoid that, but then there was another crash happened right in front of me and not really much I could do about it. You can see my front left isn't having the best of days, and I tried to just drive it back around to the pits, but at the very next corner crashed it into the barrier and had to tow back to the pits then. Luckily fast repairs here in RTA, so managed to get a repair. Back out on track then, down in P25 as let Dylan go there. He's in 16th and he's still a lap ahead of me now. And just showing how much people are struggling around here. We just passed Peter McCann who had a spin, then getting past Sean McGoldrick, which is a position actually, so everyone's having their own little issues around here, but around a track like this, a little issue, there's no really such thing as a little issue, it's straight into the barrier if you make a mistake. So I think for the rest of these races my plan is going to be to just take a little bit easier than I probably need to, just to try and get around to the finish, because getting to the flag cleanly is going to end up with a pretty okay result. On to lap 7 here now, probably this lap and one more to go. We're on the back of Terje Halla, I think is how you say his name. I haven't raced him before in RTA, but hoping I can try and get past him in these last, well, lap and 3 corners now for the lofty heights of P22 here in race 1. You can see in the standings on the top left that the numbers at the very right hand side, 34 for me, which is now gone green, the 5 for Terje, that is the push to pass we have remaining in these cars. So we have 65 seconds for every race, and we can use that kind of like DRS in F1 after the end of the first lap, and gives a good bit of a speed boost. Actually, I think it's 50 horsepower, so it does make a big difference if you're trying to make a move. But as we come through the hairpin to start the final lap in race 1, haven't been able to get past Terje just yet, but on the run down into the first corner, I have a lot more push to pass than he does. I have a little look to the inside, but wasn't close enough to make a move, and Terje defended that nicely. He did have a bit of a lock-up, but he managed to keep it tight still to the apex, and I wasn't able to get any kind of a switchback move or anything like that. And then just not close enough heading into turn 4. Getting very close through this twisty section, but no real place to make a move through here. Just trying to set up a good exit onto this little back straight, but on the exit of turn 9, just getting on the power a little bit too early. The turbo in these cars in second and third gear is horrendous if you're not in a straight line when it happens. The rear end kicks out fairly violently, which happened to me there. And we did lose position to Sean McGoldrick while I was facing the wrong way there, and finished in P24. You can see not even on this standards graphic because it only shows the top 20, but up at the front, Harvey Dara with a pretty decent win over Brandon McCotton, 5 seconds, and then just 4/10 further back to Tony Griffin round out the podium. Kevin Joyce getting a very nice 4th place there as well. So heading into race 2, definitely going to be trying to recover, and like I said during that one, I think keeping it clean will lead to a good result. So let's see what we can do in the second race here in St. Pete. So the first course of action in this one is to try and get a better start than I did in race 1. So as the lights go green, we do get a better start. It's still not great, so definitely something to try and work on before round 2 in Mexico. Way into turn 1, braking a lot earlier this time, and thankfully all of the carnage happened on the outside this time, so I was able to take the normal racing line, the inside line, and gain a couple of positions. Having a bit of a look at Ken Kablinson into turn 4, but in the mirror I saw Terje completely missing his braking zone there, and thankfully I saw that in my mirror, and I was able to delay my turn in because I knew he wasn't going to get it stopped there. And once I saw him flying past, then I was able to turn in and thankfully survived that. Very good heads up driving by Terje as well, just doing his bit to try and avoid any of the cars. It looked like he was going to clean out pretty much into turn 4, so fair play to him for that. But back to my race now, putting Kem under some serious pressure in this Kem versus Ken fight. He runs a bit deep, so I feel like I get a better exit, and now I'm spamming the push to pass button so that will activate as soon as it is available, but unfortunately it doesn't actually activate. We still get alongside Kem in turn 1 and through turn 2 around the outside before we get into turn 3, and I have to say I was very proud of that move. A nice clean one around the outside and up into P16 from starting down where I did in P24 up a good few places in just over a lap here. Just shows, like I said, keeping it clean at turn 1 definitely paying dividends, as we are now still on the back of a train right behind Peter McCann. Skipping ahead to lap 3 then, getting very close to Peter there. I don't know how we didn't make contact there, the netcode gods being on our side, as it was all kind of just a bit of a check-up. Definitely wasn't trying to go for a move there or anything. I think that would have ended in tears. I think I've seen a couple of passes tried there throughout these races on the stream on Gantry TV, and they all seem to end with somebody facing the wrong way, so just a bit of a concertina effect there, getting everyone very close. Big train here, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars, including myself, with Eric Clean just at the back. So felt like I had pretty good pace and that I could hopefully try and get past a couple of these cars. But as with most street circuits, it is very difficult to try and make an overtake, and especially at one that is such high speed such as this one. Heading down into turn 4 again, taking a bit of an inside line. That was more so to defend from Bicky Eric behind, and it did look like I was trying to go for a move on Peter. If the space had been there, maybe I could have, but it was more of a defensive effort than an overtaken one. But we didn't have to wait long to get past Peter, just like I did in race 1, lighting up the rears on the exit of turn 9 and going for a spin. Very easy to do. Obviously I done it in the previous race, did it a lot in practice as well, so definitely not an uncommon error to make. Heading through the hairpin now though, Bicky is very close behind, so I tried to put on the push to pass heading on to the pit straight, but I accidentally pressed the pit limiter button by mistake. Luckily Bicky wasn't able to get a good enough exit out of the hairpin to be close enough to make a move into turn 1 with that error, so we're able to hold on to P15 for now. But through turn 3 heading down into turn 4, I could see he had a better run there, taking the defensive line into the 4th corner, and once you have the inside line there, not really a place you're able to go around the outside, and we hold on to that position. Skipping ahead to lap 7 now, Bicky, you'd think he had a bit of a spin. He's not right behind us now, and now somebody that is behind us is Cahill, who just locked up into turn 4 and went into the wall. So another free position there for myself, up into 13th now, and right behind Dermot Toomey, who I have been a little bit quicker than looking at the lap times throughout this race. So felt like I would have an opportunity to maybe get past, especially seeing that I have 20 seconds more push to pass remaining than he does. So if I can put him under pressure, make him burn his push to pass, then he'll have nothing to defend with if I get right on to the back of him. Lap 10 now, and I am right on his gearbox. He has burnt all his push to pass now, so definitely have an advantage there heading into turn 10. Dermot goes deep and I just kind of follow him. I was more so looking at him than where I should have been going, and I have pretty significant front right suspension damage now. Luckily though, I don't have the meatball flag, so I don't have to pit to get that repaired, and with just under 4 minutes left, so about 3 or 4 laps, I'm just going to try and limp it around to the end. But on the very next lap into the hairpin, just with that damage, the car isn't handling the way I've been used to it, and I lose the back end, go for a half spin and lose 2 positions there. Even with the damage though, managed to stick close to Kem for this one, and this time into the hairpin, taking it a lot slower, a bit of a wider line as well, just to hope the car stays a bit more stable. And down the pit straight then. I for some reason turned off my push to pass. I should have just kept it deployed. I feel like I could have probably tried to make a move there into turn 1. Kem goes deep, so I definitely could have got down his inside there. Once again, carrying a bit too much speed for the damage I had, losing the back end and losing a couple of more seconds. Skipping ahead to the final lap then, did manage to catch back up to Kem, but not close enough to go for an overtake and get that position. So to come out of the final corner, thankfully nice and safely, going to come up across the line to finish in P13. So considering I started in 24th in this one and had pretty significant damage for around about a third of the race, up 10 places into 14th definitely is nothing to be disappointed about. I feel like, well, I definitely should have finished ahead of Dermot, but still pretty happy with how that race went. Pace seemed good, and yeah, only for that little mistake of looking at Dermot rather than my line could have been a top 12 finish. Tony Griffin taking the win in that one ahead of Ronan Doherty. Sean McClemens rounding out the podium. Heading into race 3, definitely the same mindset again. Keep it clean, use the bit of pace that I seem to have and confidence I have around here, and hopefully make up a couple of more positions. During the few minutes break we have between race 2 and 3, I did try a few things to try and get a better start. So as the lights go out, they don't seem to have worked as we get overtaken by Dara and Eric on the run down into turn 1. Again, braking nice and early, taking it nice and easy. Into turn 2 though, we are 2 or 3 wide, and I'm not sure who that was, but we get crashed into the side of through turn 2 as we're now side by side with Terje, who we've been battling with a lot throughout these races. We had the inside line there, we managed to hold on to that place. But yeah, not sure what happened there. I think we might have been 3 wide, so it's just a case of everybody trying to leave each other enough space. I felt like I left enough space on the inside, but clearly not, and now have damage in the midsection of the car, which I'm hoping won't affect the handling too much. Unfortunately for me, it took 2 races, but it seems that everybody ahead at least figured out how to keep it clean at turn 1 around this track, so we don't gain any positions, we actually lose a couple on this opening lap down into P16 as we come across the line. As you can see, a lot of cars up ahead and definitely opportunities to gain some positions. Had a little bit of a look on Bicky there into turn 1. It was kind of a bit of a defence as well to Terje, who I saw having a look down the inside, so it's kind of a 2-for-1 kind of deal there, and it didn't really lead to anything for anybody. We are all still in the same position as we were. We are in a bit of a train though, getting held up by Ken at the front, who, as I've seen in the previous 2 races, I definitely have a bit of pace on. I feel like Dara and Eric up ahead of me probably have a bit of pace on them as well, so hopefully we can try and get past. Poor Bicky isn't going to get past anyway, as he does what Dermot did in race 2 and just understeers in turn 10, putting the car in the wall on the exit. Going to actually have a look at a replay of what happened there in turn 2, and you can see, just as I thought, I think that was Dara on the inside who Bicky was trying to avoid, and he just turned a little bit to the right where I was. I had left enough space for him, but I had left enough space for him to have to avoid another car. Just one of those racing incidents, a little bit of a coming together, but a little bit frustrating, but luckily no severe damage to anyone because of that. Skipping ahead on to lap 6 now, still behind Kem and Dara. Through turn 6, Dara goes wide, and in hindsight I probably should have stuck the nose up the inside of turn 7 there and tried to get that place, but to say in hindsight, and if I had done that I could have ended in a crash for the 2 of us. On to lap 7 now, heading into the infamous turn 10. Dara locks up, he goes into the wall, and I try to avoid it but just carrying too much speed, and I'm not able to avoid his car in the wall. If he had just stayed in the wall I probably would have, but crashing there the car bounces back out into the racing line, and unfortunately I'm going to have to come into the pits to get this repaired. Luckily fast repairs in RTA, so get it all fixed and come back out onto the track down in P18. Big crash though between turn 3 and turn 4. Sean McGoldrick going for a spin there I think, and back up into 17th. A lap later we've caught up to Queevy Brennan, who don't know if he has some damage or what, but he's going pretty slowly into turn 4. I broke early compared to where I was braking, because that's what you do when a car's in front. I think Queevy was braking even a little bit earlier, just as his normal braking point, run into the back of him, unfortunately take him out. I did send Queevy a message apologising for that. Luckily he was okay about it. He even said himself that he was braking a little bit earlier. So again, if Quali, you're watching this, apologies about that, and hopefully don't have any more coming together this season. A couple of laps later then, lap 15, Brandon McCotton has had some kind of incident himself, coming out of the pits just in front of me, and we both get past Quali. This time I managed to get past him without cleaning him out, so thankful for that. But yeah, Brandon up ahead now, who was up at the front throughout this round, so I wasn't going to try and go for any kind of a move on him. He was a good bit quicker than I was, but unfortunately putting in the wall at turn 9 isn't quicker. He didn't fully crash, but he kind of went for a spin, and the way his car was, I thought he was going to go to the left hand side, so I committed to going to the right, and because of that and all my other incidents, have a lot of damage to the car now as well, and have a drive-through for accumulation of incident points. So have to come into the pits to serve that drive-through, and at this point I really wasn't thinking right. I saw how much damage I had to the car as well. I should have pulled in and got the damage repaired first, came around, served the penalty, and just continued on for the last lap or whatever then, but I wasn't thinking. I was obviously fairly pissed off at this stage, and yeah, just wasn't concentrating. So coming out of the pits, I don't want to even look at it. I come out of the pits straight into the side of, I think that was Niall Stevens, and caused a massive crash. This is on board with Dylan McLean. As you can see, I just come out, and then Dylan can't avoid me. There's more cars caught up in the incident. See here, this is on board with Niall. He couldn't see my car coming out of the pits. 100% my fault, and obviously I got a 15-point penalty for that, which is more than fair, I would think, for taking a lot of cars out of the race. I still end up finishing in 19th, so it's not even my worst result of this round, but definitely not good. What that means for the standings is that I come out of round 1 with a net 0 points, gaining 15 points for where I finished in the races, and then minus 15 points for the penalty. So a waste of about 3 hours of my life doing this race, and yeah, definitely not my finest moment in RTA. To be fair, in real life you have to come out of the pits, and the cars on the track have a duty to do their part in avoiding the collision, but for the race, in the driver's briefing, it was said that it is on the cars leaving the pits to make sure they are rejoining safely. So 120% that incident was on me, not arguing that. And yeah, especially when my car was in the state it was in, and where I was positional wise compared to the cars that were at the pit exit, that I ruined their race as well. So if any of you are watching this, again, I apologise for that moment of stupidity, and hopefully it won't have any more of those kind of incidents this season. But that is it for round 1 of the RTA Indy NXT Championship. Round 2 is at the Mexico City Circuit, the one Formula 1 races at, so that's sure to be an interesting round, and I hope I see you back for my video on that one. But until then, thanks for watching, and see you then.